Hello and welcome to another session of Me Programming Daily. I'm back from my short holidays and I'm ready to write some more drakon-esque code. Let's transition to the code view. So first of all, I hope you're having a great day. I just managed to get myself some coffee. Off camera, I managed to resolve some of the problems I was having during the last session. Meaning some of the blocks were disappearing, and that is because in the parser I did not include a tail of the parsed section while I was merging new elements to the head. Now I've resolved this in two production rules. I have two rules left, which I'm hoping to resolve today. But since this is my first time recording after holidays, please excuse me if I'm a little bit fuzzy on what to do and what is where. Now, what I do know, though, is that I should implement the tails stuff here in these two production rules, where we have redirections to solo ID and left branch, and we have redirections to solo ID and the right branch. I managed to implement this in here. So this production rule is simple because we don't have any redirections here. But here in the right-hand side branch, we do have a redirection to solo ID, and we are exercising this in here. 6, and 6 is action 6. Let's zoom this in. So what I'm previewing here is the product of my off-camera, let's not call them struggles, let's call them adventures. So our branch, which is here, identified by ID 4, goes to 6, so that's the redirection. But if I had a redirection here, I don't think it would parse. I'm not saying this is correct, I'm just testing. Build, it will obviously build. Parse, it does parse, okay. Let's see what it produces. Yeah, and it disappears. Oh, well, obviously it will parse because we have a production rule like this, but in that case, the tail is ignored. So if we have this 6 here, after L branch A2, L branch A2, I don't even know where it is. Yeah, it disappears, and I managed to push it to a branch. So this is from GitHub, from that experimental branch I was working on. L branch A2. So this whole fork, I believe, disappears. Yes. So past action 6, this fork disappears, and this is because we're not adding a tail. So the situation that we're having problems with now is this production rules. So let's try to gently modify it. I know it doesn't fit very well on the screen. I wonder if we can mitigate this somehow. I could reduce the font size, but I kind of don't want to do that. So for now, let's just close the input. It's not looking fantastic. I'll have to find a better way of representing the actions for each of these rules, because right now it's very difficult to work with, even for me. Okay, so when we have a head of one is where? Oh, we need to break it up. Let's start with this. The code will be very similar to this and this. And just slide to the right. Obviously, this doesn't have to be a list of lists. It can now be a head of one. And then we attach a tail of one. I'm not sure how performant this is, but we'll have time for optimization later. So now when I run it, I'm expecting this fork to appear here together with the redirection. The redirection is not correct in the drakon sense, but at the least it should parse and it should produce a connection, a line. Let's see, so this is my local copy. All right. Yeah, that's what I meant. The right-hand side branch, let's open the input. Our branch goes to 6, and that is here. Great. But the left-hand side branch, L branch A1, here, L branch A2, also try to go to 6, and they cross with this connection, which should not be allowed. So in the drakon sense, it is not correct, but in terms of preserving the collection of parsed blocks, it is fine. So let's remove this. Perfect. Let's also remove this. And now we'll face the last scenario that I haven't done off camera, which is we have a redirection on the left-hand side branch, but not on the right-hand side branch. So we include 6 like this. So if I run it now, this whole fork will probably disappear, incorrectly, of course. So if I go to the parser, we can easily correct it by first removing this one and this concatenation, and 2, merging this with just a head of 1, and finally adding a tail of 1. And after this gets resolved, I don't really have a good idea what to do with the remainder of my first post-holiday session. So, oh, look at this. It doesn't work for some reason. Let's see. So we'll be copying this code from the rule above had 10 and here nothing. Oh. Let's see where the problem is. Let's revert everything to the start. Sorry, I have to respond to this. Let's remove one from here. Let's add it here. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. This is more of a sanity check than anything else. It should work. Okay. So now we want to do this. And it should still work. And now should this be it? That's very weird. So nothing has two brackets here. One for this and one for two fork. Oh, I see. This should be fine. Now my problem seems to be brackets. worries me is that this works, but probably shouldn't. This should work. So the fact that it doesn't work should indicate what I should be looking for. Should be 10. How did that work previously? Okay, but here we're not connecting the head yet. Okay. So here we have this weird redirection. It works. I must have missed a bracket or something like that. The redirection goes from the left-hand side branch to 6. Works. It's not correct drakon-wise, but it does render. So let's remove this now. And let's bring 6 back here. And I'll be making a PR out of this later. Does it look the same as the previous one? It should. Yes. All right. This is done. So maybe, let's look at the time. Let's use the remainder of the session to maybe clean those actions up. Oh, and I remembered one thing. This blank address function should not exist. If we need something like a blank address, it means that the address should not be there in the first place. So let's remove it from here. This will cause the compilation to fail. And what we should do is we should just ignore this address. So it should disappear now, and that should be correct. Let's quickly compare. If I'm not missing anything else, it is kind of impressive that the engine managed to adjust the size of this branch, or this skewer, to accommodate for the missing address. Okay. So now, I have two options now that I can think of. And one is to either clean these actions up or to do something with parse errors. Simply because errors like this are not super helpful. Let's see if we can break the parser somehow. Yes. Parser error in line 1. Okay, it's good that we have this notification, but it doesn't really give us much. All right. But you know what? Maybe let's start by addressing these actions. This one seems easy. Let's start with this one. Or maybe we shouldn't really touch it. The reason I'm saying we shouldn't be touching it is for each of these actions, we would need a name that just adds complexity, adds meaning to something that's already quite complex. First of all, let's get a feeling for this. So let's define a function. Or if such operation is available. Okay, so here we are dealing with, let's see what type it is. So it is a string. And then we'll need a whole lists of skewer blocks, or connected skewer blocks, I think. we will get that type from drakon diagram or reverse. Yeah, skewer blocks. So that's our function. Let's call it for now ABC, and we'll be implementing this logic in it. ABC. Oh yeah, of course. Action token, and here we have and if we give it an elegant name, maybe that's not such a bad idea. The types in the type signature will help us determine what this function is supposed to be doing. Maybe that is not such a bad idea after all. Let's just sanity check this. It does work. Of course, I'm not surprised. Here we don't need that. I mean, we need that, but we don't need an abstraction for this. Okay, let's deal with something more complex like this, where we are where we're using 3 tokens, 1, 4, and 2. What does it do? It adds an address block. Oh, sorry, a headline block. So maybe let's change the name, not from append to insert. Because we're inserting an action. for this, we'll have append headline. Let's do append skewer. And that will be the order of arguments will also give us an insight into what we're inserting and where. String. So here we have existing skewers. Here we have headline token. New skewers, because it's a list of lists. Could be many skewers. And here will be combined. We'll return combined skewers. We don't need a name for that. One. And here we're changing the order. So that is 2 and 4. That's the new skewers. And it's looking pretty elegant, I think. It should work. The order should be preserved. And it is. Beautiful. So yeah, it's not looking bad. And here we have a variant of this function called append skewer prime. It will be very similar with just one new argument, and it will be the address token. So existing skewers, headline token, new skewers, and also an extra string. That's the address token. Yeah, I think that's much easier on the eye, much easier to grasp. And we should be able to kick those functions out to a proper Haskell file with at least syntax highlighting. That would be welcome. So here we have content of that function. So we have existing skewers. Oh, the interesting thing is head for. So we're ignoring the tail of for, meaning that if we have more than one skewer here, we'll only add one. Okay, so we're actually spotting a bug now. Okay, let's test the theory out in a second. But first, let's fix this function. And that's all because we're adding more meaning, more complexity. So yeah, maybe it was justified after all. Not only it looks nicer, it is only helping us to spot problems. Existing skewers. We need to add address. Address token. Add head new skewers and to headline token. So here we go. 1, 2, then 4, then 5. And let's not forget prime. It is compiling. And okay, let's test my theory of only inserting the head of new skewers after a short break. Okay, I'm back now. I hope everything is rolling and everything is working. So before the break, I promised I would try to add a collection of skewers under the umbrella of a headline to an existing collection of skewers. So potentially causing a problem. Let's see if this works. So first of all, let's simplify our diagram to something like this. Action 1. Let's see. Okay, so we have start and end, headline 1H1, action 1 to H2 as the address of the second headline. Perfect. This is looking good. Now, if we wanted to insert a headline for a collection of skewers, we would probably only insert the first of those skewers. Let's test the theory. So we have action 2. This is not correct drakon at all. I'm just testing the rendering engine. So in here, under action 2, I'm going to add another silhouette diagram. Let's call it A. 1H1A, A. And let's give them new IDs. 3, 4, 4, So now I'm expecting to see a silhouette of silhouette, silhouette of silhouettes, or two silhouettes, one inside another. It parses. Yes. But this one doesn't render at all. Let's see what this is all about. What are we even printing here? Print length of... Okay. So we're probably interested in this. Pen skewer. So this is head of skewers. What worries me is I would expect the action and the first skewer rendered and the second skewer to be ignored. But let's see. So here we should do tail of 4. Let's see what happens. It doesn't work. Oh, because we don't have 4, we have new skewers. And this is actually not correct. So this isn't rendered correctly. But that's because I'm merging them incorrectly. They should go go inside here. Okay, but if I want to do that, I can't just add a list of lists of skewers to underneath this headline, because that would bump up the dimension of this list to 3. So we don't want that. Okay, so this is an interesting problem that I'll probably have to start thinking about. Because what we have here right now is incorrect. That should be 2 again. 2 skewer. Sorry, 2 skewers. Yeah. So here we cannot expect prods because that would mean the dimension of the diagram would go above 2. We don't want that. It should be 2-dimensional. Okay. Just to only allow 1D prods, because that's only fair. And same comment goes here. Okay, so having made that comment, let's maybe look at the time for today. 48 minutes. We still have a little bit of time to maybe address these 2 production rules. So that will just be create skewer. Or solo skewer. Let's add it here. Solo skewer has address token. I'm looking at this line. Has address token and it has existing skewers. Sorry, new skewers. Or sorry, headline token. And that is also wrong. Because that collection needs to be 1D. Because what? I think this tail is always empty. Yeah. Let's quickly test it. But before we do, let's just finish this function. Solo skewer. Headline token, head, new skewers. Oh, this is interesting. To address into headline? No. We don't need an address here. No, thank you. What was I thinking? To address headline token? Headline token. Okay, so that was a good move after all. That I extracted functions from here. So we have solo skewer. 1, 3. Oh well, we don't have input to test that, but I'll provide some in a second. And solo skewer with an address. One, 3, 5, 4. Same to do applies here. And then once we confirm that this is compiling, we can test it with new input. Oh, something happened. Oh yes, solo skewer needs an address. That was a good test. Anyway, we actually have input to test that. To address token. Okay, that was close. Now, what happens if in the input we can actually ignore this, I think. It's incorrect drakon, but that's a good test. What happens if in the input we have silhouette in a silhouette? I think this will get stretched to skewers that are siblings to these skewers, which is not correct. Yeah. We have 3 skewers. Yeah, that is not right. So we detected 4 problems. Okay, that's good. Also always 1D. But we'll do it at some other time. This is now testable and sheds more light on what the actions are actually doing and fits on one screen. So that's good. Right, I think that's enough for today. Thank you all very much for your attention today. In upcoming sessions, we'll be figuring out how to restrict these prods here to just 1D collections of skewers. I'm not sure how to do it yet. We'll have to figure it out. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.